Hi, you are watching SightsIn and this is Umesh. Please do subscribe to the channel for the HR news, for HR updates and conversation with the top class HRs. Today we are going to discuss about the top HR skills in demand. Actually, with the changing times, HR professionals also need to upgrade their skills to stay relevant and to succeed in their role. To my little understanding, there are three set of skills which are very important for the HR leaders. One is the soft skill, another is the business acumen, and third is the digital skill. To understand this better, to understand this in detail, today we are privileged to have Ms. Shweta Mohanty. Shweta is Head Human Resources with SAP in India. Welcome, Shweta, to SightsIn Plus.
Hi, Ramesh. Thank you so much for having me. My compliments for selecting such a wonderful topic. I think skills are the new currency, and while we say that in business, it is very much applicable for all of us HR professionals as well. So I look forward to sharing my thoughts with you in this very interesting times that we are living in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shweta, for accepting my invitation and being the part of SightsIn Plus. I would like to understand from you that what are the top HR skills in demand today and in near future.
Ramesh, one of the things that we have always spoken about is, how, HR professionals need to have a very good understanding about how business operates. If we look at from that, aspect, I think what is really, really critical for us is to understand, a few key insights that are coming up, right? For example, do we understand, how business works? Do we understand, about the financials, in an organization? Do we understand, what are some of the ways, talent is impacted? These are some of the aspects, that all HR professionals need to have a deep insight about if we have to, go ahead and really make, meaningful impact in the business when it comes to talent or people. If I really break it down, I would really say that ability for us to link into different aspects of business, and the entire cycle is very, very important. And in very clear terms, this is called as a systems model. I'm not sure if you have heard about it, but a systems model clearly talks about that if one aspect is impacted in an organization, how are some of the other aspects which are going to get impacted? So do we as HR professionals think like that? For example, I'll take a very simple example. A couple of years back when the pandemic hit, there was this entire noise about digitalization, and every organization, small or big, was moving in that direction. That had a lot of impact on talent and people, and how businesses were preparing to serve their customers. I did see that as a perfect example for HR professionals and leaders to play a larger role, to play a bigger role, if they would have really, understood the different touch points that in the organization we need to drive. So that's a very, very important aspect. The second aspect, which I feel is really, really important in today's context, is the interplay between data and digital. As Ramesh, one of the key aspect of building credibility, comes from the HR professional in their ability to interpret data and to show meaningful impact, right? And I think that's something which is becoming extremely important. But now what is also becoming important is to be able to, derive meaningful conclusions, having a way in which you can showcase the data and take future-oriented decisions, which means, let me again take an example, which means if you are, looking at an attrition in the organization, and then how it impacts from the next, few years, are we able to use predictive skills to understand what kind of attrition would happen in the next few quarters or the next few years? And then what does it mean in terms of talent gap? And are we able to show that kind of a picture to our business by combining the data and the digital skills together? So that's the second thing I would really mention. And the third thing, which is really a business skill, which is becoming very, very important, is is the entire design thinking aspect. I think we haven't really given much value to how we design HR interventions. And I think in several parts of businesses, this is gaining a lot of prominence. And what I mean by design thinking is that if when we are rolling out any policy, any process or any intervention in the organization, are we able to understand, who are the stakeholders involved? How do we go about, implementing it? Is it designed in the right way to meet the right kind of results that we are anticipating? I think that's again one aspect which is becoming extremely, extremely important. And last and not the least, I think this is something which is not really a business skill, but a skill which every professional should really have, but more so gets important, in leadership, is this entire aspect of sensitivity and empathy. I think that's, again, something which we really need to, understand well.
Wonderful, Shweta. I think you touched upon all the sets of skills which are in demand as of now for the all HR professionals. If we go a little deeper and also try to understand how we can improve these skills, and if we can start with the what are the soft skills and hard skills for the HR professionals and how they can improve this, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. So one of the ways, and I can talk with personal experience, one of the ways is that, and again, I'll make a comment here, that I see increasingly, HR leaders spending a lot of time in operational and transactional, aspect of the job. I think we have to take a conscious call to be more engaged with business and talk like business, which means we need to have business mentors. I cannot emphasize and underline this aspect that every HR professional, irrespective of which stage of career they are in, should really have a couple of business mentors who can guide them and make them help understand about how business is running. One of the mentors, for example, I have is a CFO for a small, unit within SAP, and the kind of insights I get to understand from them on, why the stock is performing in a certain way, or why the certain kind of, results are there. What are we gaining out of an acquisition that we did? I think those are great insights for us to understand so that we can add value. So one of the things I certainly would recommend that every person has, a business HR, mentor. The other thing, the way HR professionals can really gain insights is to, read up. I think one of the aspects is that if you really look at the interplay, we really see a lot of business leaders moving into HR, a lot of HR leaders taking up CEO positions. And the reason why they are able to do that is because they are very well read about different aspects of the business. So it might not be a bad idea for us to, look into doing short 2 weeks to 3 weeks of fellowships or shadowing opportunities, or going into a part of the business and working on a certain business project. I think those hands-on experiences are extremely important. When we are talking about learning some of these business skills which are imperative for today's HR professionals. You also asked me, Ramesh, on the importance of soft skills HR leaders, and I would really like to say that first and foremost, I do not believe that there's anything called soft, or hard skills, right? The word that I would like to use for them is power skills. And, today HR professionals more than ever need to possess these skills, which is, your ability to articulate, communicate effectively, influence without authority. You would probably be in a situation where you are managing large organizations, which many of them probably do not directly, report into you. How do you manage to influence and inspire people without authority is again one of the things which is very, very critical. Managing stakeholders, it's very important that, all of us understand who are our big stakeholders and how are, we trying to help them. That's very, very important because the ask and expectations from each stakeholders is very different. So those are some of the power skills that I feel are very, very important. And most importantly, I have also seen that, our ability, especially in the last few years, I have learned that for HR professionals, our ability to be agile, manage uncertainty, is important more than ever. This is something which has taken a lot of prominence, because in times of crisis, many business leaders reach out, to HR professionals, to seek their guidance, their counsel. And for us to be really handhold them, we need to be make sure that we are agile and we are able to manage the uncertainty. So that's something which I really call as power skills, which every HR leader professional should really start imbibing them. When it comes to the hard skills aspect of it, Ramesh, what I would really say is that, earlier we used to have, within HR, we used to have very clear defined COEs or silos, right? So these COEs were total rewards or talent attraction, learning and development. And these were looked upon as expertise areas, and you rarely used to find somebody trying to move out. So you would rarely find somebody from a learning and development organization moving to total rewards and so on and so forth. I would like to really call it out that today HR professionals need to be more interdisciplinary than ever. I think our ability to understand, what happens in the field of compensation, how it is going to impact talent retention, how it's going to have a direct bearing on talent engagement, what is the kind of learning that our employees are looking for, how do you get them bite-sized learning, what is the kind of ask that is coming from understanding the intelligence, on the talent attraction side, so that we can predict, the future to the business. All these aspects are extremely important, and I think we should really look into being interdisciplinary than just having expertise in one specific area. So I would really say that this is the trend that I have seen in the last few years when it comes to what is called as a hard skill. Be more interdisciplinary, understand how each function plays a role to the other, and build up your knowledge so that you have a practical application-based understanding of each of these functions. I think that's going to be super critical.
So I think very beautifully you have described about the business acumen skills and some soft skills, hard skills, or as you call power skills.
Yes.
Now, because you represent a tech organization, HR tech organization, so I think you are the right person for this. That how the HR leaders can learn about the digital skills. That is also very important as well. After the generative AI and a lot of tools are there. So how they can learn about the digital skills?
That's a very good question, and this question gets asked to me, Ramesh, often. One of the myths associated with digital skills is that every HR professional should really understand how to code. People think that those who know how to code or are writing the large learning models are the experts in this. I would really say that it's not so much as important to understand the coding aspect of it or learning the technology aspect of it, but learning the application of these technologies. I think that is very, very critical. Of course, one needs to have great digital skills in terms of, are you able to draw inferences from the data that you're looking? Are you able to draw, like I mentioned, a beautiful way in which data can be presented and you can show insights to the leaders? These are all important aspects of it. But I think one of the ways on digital, learning digital is appreciation of, the digital aspect of the business. To understand the interplay of one with other. I think that is really, really important. Like I already mentioned, one of the ways it is possible to do is to kind of go ahead and be with some of these units or organizations who are creating technology around this, and offer your expertise on how that technology can be used in an organization like yours. So I have this wonderful opportunity when I sit with some of the startups who are a part of our startup accelerator, and so they have the technology prowess, but I have the application expertise, and that's how you really understand how the technology comes into the play. So for those people who feel that they cannot join this digital wave only because they are not engineers or they do not know how to code, you really don't need to worry. You really need to understand the application aspect of the technology, and that will hold you in good stead.
Yeah, so I think we tried to discuss all the aspect related to the top skills in demand for the HR leaders. So anything else would you like to share which is important and we did not touch here?
No, I think, I cannot emphasize two aspects which I already called out, Ramesh, but if I have to really summarize our discussion and leave that, these are really difficult times in business, right? It is really important because businesses um, are really getting a lot of pressure in the market in terms of in order to be successful. Success doesn't come, that easily. So for all of us, this aspect of being frugal and still being able to do the right thing from our talent is extremely important. So being agile for the HR professionals is super important. You would no longer in HR, Ramesh, would have large organizations. It would be lean organizations. You would no longer have a learning organization where you would have hundreds of facilitators because there is no concept of, classroom training. All of it is becoming extremely digital. You would, from a total rewards perspective, the focus is moving less on compensation, but more on rewards and benefits and wellness. And that aspect is becoming. So, the key thing is change, right? And for all of us, it is not only to be able to, just adapt the change ourselves, but help the organization also adapt to it and move forward. And hence, I would request all HR professionals to be super agile, look into your own learning, look into more interdisciplinary learning, read your business results when it comes out in your respective organization, understand, what is being said, why the organization's stock moved up, why the net profit was like this. These are very, very important aspects if we have to really help our business leaders move ahead. So change management, agility, and business acumen, these are very, very important aspects.
Oh, thank you so much, Shweta, for joining the conversation and sharing your
Thank you.
wonderful thoughts.
Thanks a lot, Ramesh.
Thank
It
you.
was such a pleasure.